Right, so I've just watched a pretty decent film on Amazon Prime. I kind of want to tell you about it because I want to kind of like, if you're like me, when this film came out of the cinema, you thought, oh, that looks silly, I'm not going to bother watching it and that. But it was really good. It's called Guns Akimbo, and it came out in 2019. It stars Daniel Radcliffe and Samantha Weaving. Now, when I saw the trailer for this, I thought that looks really silly. It's not my thing. I'm not going to bother with it, so I sort of ignored it. Fast forward to yesterday, I'm on Amazon Prime, and I'm trying to find something different, because as you know, if you sort of like got a streaming service and you watch certain types of movies, they'll only show you those movies. You sort of get stuck in like an algorithm where you don't find different things. So I was going through Amazon Prime trying to find something different to what I normally watch. And I come across Guns Akimbo, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to start watching it. So I started to watch it. It was quite late at night. I started to watch it, and I was sort of like, had it on as I was sort of tidying up the house, etc. And I was like, I found myself, I kept going, like, kept watching the TV, not tidying up. I just wanted it for background noise originally. But I started to laugh at things happening in this movie. And I sort of thought, it's a bit late. I'm going to turn it off now. And I'm going to come back and watch it tomorrow. I'm a bit more fresh. And I can actually sit down and watch it. And I did that just a little while ago. And I'm telling you now, I enjoyed this movie from start to finish. This movie was brilliant. It was so much fun. It was just a ridiculous, very different kind of fun, stupid movie than what I usually watch. So Guns Akimbo is a story about Daniel Radcliffe. He plays a guy called Miles, who's working in an office doing some computery stuff that I don't know anything about, because I'm not into that sort of thing, but he does like computers, does something to do with websites. And his life's kind of crap. He spends his entire life, he's not at work on a computer looking at it, he's at home on a computer or a screen. And he's kind of letting life go by him. He's not happy with himself. His boss is a complete arsehole. He really is, like, you know. And he's really just down. The girl he's kind of had a thing for, he's kind of looking at her on his ex-girlfriend, so it's like the girl he was with. He's still got carrying a torch for her, but they've obviously split up for whatever reason. He then sort of like looks on her Instagram, accidentally likes her post, so she like then messages him back. They try and start again, it kind of fails a little bit. And he goes home, he's on his laptop, and he's looking at this new website he's looking at called Schism, and it's basically the Running Man in a sense. So this is a nasty sort of dark web website. It's like a game show where it'll put two people against each other in a fight to the death, and they're going to run all around town trying to kill each other until like the one's left standing, that person wins. You don't really know what they win, but they win basically. And you get to see a woman called Nix, who's played by Samantha Weaving, as like the introduction to it. And she is a brutal, psychotic killer, and she's going massacring people and everything. She's a proper nut job with the guns out. Kind of now, Samantha Weaving looks a lot like Margot Robbie. They're very similar features and that. This is basically how I imagine Harley Quinn would be. But this is a more Harley Quinn version than the Harley Quinn we got in the TV show. I can imagine her being this mental. So it's very similar to Harley Quinn type character, more focused on the violence, chaos side than the other side. So you see her like massacring people, how good she is with a gun, etc., etc. She's like well trained. And Daniel is watching this, and he starts like keyboard warrioring the people online about it. And he accidentally keyboard warriors trolls the word I'm looking for, trolls the guy that runs the whole thing. And this guy is a psychopath, tattooed face, bald head, like psycho gang member. Kind of like saying you'd see in Mad Max, that type of gang. You know, he's like that. And he's like gang with him who are very similar to like the Mad Max old gang. Like you've got a Mohican guy, people wearing leather, there's one wearing like a dog gimp mask. These are proper messed up people. And they run this website, which is getting millions of views on every time they do one of these games where people are trying to kill each other. So he trolls him, and the guy decides, you know what, I'm going to get this guy for trolling me online. He finds Daniel Radcliffe, kidnaps him, and then bolts guns, two like pistol guns, to his hands. They're sort of fancy futuristic. I don't know guns. They're handguns, you know. And he bolts them to his hands and his fingers, so he can't basically do anything other than hold these guns. When he wakes up in his apartment, he finds out he's now a part of this show, Schism, that's online. And the Nix character, Samantha Williams' character, is basically up against him and he's going to try and kill him. He's basically the gangland boss's way of executing him without having to get his hands dirty. So Daniel Radcliffe's there. He can't do anything because he's got his guns in his hands. He can't get dressed. He can't use his phone. He can't do anything because he's got these guns stuck to his hand. He can't even move his fingers. All he can do is pull the trigger on the gun. Each gun has like a number of rounds he's got in the gun. I think it starts off at 50 in each gun. He's got 100 bullets basically. And he's like, oh my God, like, I want to get out of this. He's trying to get out of it. He doesn't know what to do. Then next thing you know, Samantha Weaving comes crashing through his door and starts trying to shoot him. And he's like, I'm not a part of this. I don't want anything to do with this. And Daniel Radcliffe in this movie is phenomenal. Like his reaction, his way of his like facial expressions are perfection in this movie to everything that's going on. He's just like, what is happening? He's sort of trying to get out of this situation where he's now being gunned down in his own house. But it's everything he's doing, he's trying to sort of work out how to get out of this situation. He's not a action guy. He's a normal office worker guy that has done absolutely nothing like this in his life. He's boring, basically. So he's just got all this hell breaking. I mean, he loves action movies. If you look at the paraphernalia around his house, it's very sort of action movie, like the poster Commando on the wall, stuff like that. So it was just so funny to watch Daniel Radcliffe's reactions. And Samantha Weaving as the psychotic Nyx, she's scary. She's proper messed up. She's got like vampire teeth that are made out of metal. Just those the canine teeth are just metal. She's got like tattoo hair. She's sort of like bleached her eyebrows by the looks of it. She's just got this weird look about it. She's carrying these big Uzi gun things and gunning everyone down. And she's like trashes apartment. You get these funny moments where like this film is very good at sort of like the dialogue in this movie is so well written, where Daniel Radcliffe's time on the sofa like, please don't shoot me. Can't we just talk and like stop shooting me? But if you are going to shoot, please don't shoot the expensive stuff like his collectibles now. Shoot the stuff that's not worth anything. And it's just so funny. And you've got to try and get out of there. So now we are going to get into spoilers with this review. That's a little snippet of what this film's about. But we're going to get massive spoilers as we go along with this chat in the back. Because I'm talking about the entire movie. It came out in 2019. So if you haven't watched it already, it's on Amazon Prime right now. Run to Amazon Prime. Watch this movie and then please come back and chat about it. So yeah, so she's now like trying to get him. He's got to escape, and he does it in a very clever way, because this is the thing about this Miles character. As the movie moves on, he gets more and more with the ability to get out of situations. He's very good at getting out of the situations he's in, even though it's chaotic, and usually like either by mistake he does it, but he somehow finds a way out. He's very good at getting out of where he's at. So he basically hits a button on his TV remote control, because his TV's on mute, and it's playing a film called Hard Target, a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. It's the one where he's got the long hair. I love Hard Target. I think it's a great movie. So he's watching that, and it's an action scene going on. So what he does, he pushes the button so that the gunfire goes off of the TV, and she turns to the TV and shoots the TV. Now, Hard Target as well is a very similar idea to this. Hard Target is about a story about a load of people that hunt down people in the streets. And like it's like as a sport thing, so they send like a veteran, an old war veteran off. He's got to run away from them, and people be hunting in the streets, and he can use whatever way. So it's very similar to this story, kind of in a way. So I guess they've got inspiration from Hard Target for this movie, which kind of makes sense. So yeah, we get to the stage now where he basically escapes, and then he goes to try and talk to the police, but because all they can see is him holding guns and going help, help like that. They think he's a nutter. The police try and stop him, and Radcliffe to deal with the police, and then it's just Radcliffe trying to find any help he can, in any way he can, because he's got no idea who to trust, who to go to, because the police think he's a nutter with guns, and he's going to get shot for holding a gun, so he can't drop the guns. They're like, drop the guns, and he can't. So he's still holding these guns, and they can't see that they're bolted to his hands. So he's stuffed, basically. Everyone is now out to get him. And that's what this movie does so well. The whole fact that he is literally on his own for the movie. He goes to try and see his ex-girlfriend. He shows her the guns and he's part of Schism and that. And she freaks out and basically kicks him out of the car and says he's got to go. Like, she's scared of him now. She thinks he's actually part of this world, because you can actually apply to be on this Schism web show thing. So that's another thing as well. So it's quite, like, interesting. Now, we then get some quite deep moments in this movie. I was shocked because it was so chaotic and funny and crazy. When you sort of get into the story of who Nyx is, the Samantha Weaving character, and her backstory, you start to think, oh, you kind of understand her more. You start to actually care about the characters in this movie, even though the movie goes about 400 miles an hour. So it's like action, 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 funny bit, action, action, funny bit. It was like that. And it's like stuff flying at you like that. It still gives you enough time to actually learn about the characters and care about them, which is shocking for these types of movies, because like sometimes you can watch an action movie, they delve into the characters, but you still don't care when you get to it. But this one, you actually think, oh, do you know what? This makes sense at why she's like the way she is. It makes sense at why everyone's doing what they're doing in this film. And as far as putting the film goes, the main baddie, sort of the gang leader of the Mad Max style-y looking gang that sort of run the internet show, he's actually quite terrifying. He's bald-headed, and he's got an older guy, like, he's 50, 60 sort of thing, but he's a bald-headed, he's got these tattoos all over his face, he just looks psychotic, and he's like one of these characters kind of, he has funny moments where you laugh at, but at the same time you think, that guy, you don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to kill you? Is he going to do something else to you? You have no clue what this guy is capable of, because he's as unhinged as everyone else. He even kills some of his own men at some points. So he's a proper nut job. So it's really interesting to see these different characters they've got in this, because they've thought really hard about who they're going to have in this film. And the fact that you are generally quite off-put by this like gangland psycho nutter shows how well the actor does in portraying that. So like Daniel Radcliffe, you care about what's going to happen to him, even though he's like this silly sort of character. You do care, and you want him to get, you want to know how he's going to get out of this and what he's going to do. And the Samantha Weaving character, as you start to learn more about her, you're like, what's going to happen with her? So you get loads of scenes where sort of like there's some funny stuff, because one of the funny stuff is Radcliffe trying to do things when he's got these guns stuck to his hands, because he's like things like trying to put his clothes on and he can't, because it's kind of like Edward Scissorhands in a way that he can't use his hands like we can. So he's trying to put up trousers when he's got like two guns and trying to pinch it together to pull it up. At one point he's trying to do something, he's only realised he's got the gun put in his head, he's like, whoa, sort of that, and he's just trying to do his stuff, and he's just like trying to eat a hot dog at one point, he's trying to scoop it up, almost like with the two bits of gun, trying to get his mouth, keeps dropping it to the floor. And he meets a tramp who kind of gives him some good advice on what to do, and the tramp helps him get dressed at one point. So originally he's just wearing these big fluffy slippers, these ones at Tiger Feet slippers, a dressing gown, a pair of boxer shorts and a t-shirt to run around with these guns. But the tramp guy helps him get dressed because he finds like one of these like charity bin things for clothes. So he gets some clothes on and that. The tramp helps him out, gives him a bit of advice on sort of how to get away, which is quite nice. Gives him this old hot dog, which is disgusting. The tramp's actually played by, what's his name, Rhys Davies. He was in the Jumanji films. He's a very funny Australian actor, I believe, Australian, New Zealand, something like that. He's a very funny guy. He plays the tramp. He was in Jumanji. He's the guy that's like, hello, welcome to Jumanji, that guy. And he's like the tramp. He sort of gives him advice and stuff to do. And you see him all the way through. This film is very good at set up and payoff. That is one thing this film does really well. So it will set something up at the start, and then you'll see like a payoff later on. So this guy, he's sitting there watching a TV the whole way through it, like cheering on. So he's watching Schism, cheering on the guy he's met. And then later on you see the TV just broken. He's just saying random stuff for no reason. He's not actually watching anything. And it's just hilarious that he's just like that type of guy. And they do another one earlier on with a guy with a Nerf gun. And then later on, I use the Nerf gun to try and kill Samantha Weaving. It sort of hits her in the head. She's like, what the... Like, she tries to shoot him. So there's like little... Very good at sort of showing you something at the beginning, and then it pays off later. And I like that. So yeah, as we get to sort of the main story of it. So it's essentially just him trying to evade Samantha Weaving, and then him trying to evade Samantha Weaving and the police. And then when the police sort of, you find that the people trying to investigate Schism, they're trying to bring Schism down. They sort of find out from the girlfriend that Daniel Radcliffe's character Miles is involved, and she's trying to help him out, because she then goes to the police after realising that maybe she shouldn't have just chucked him out of the car. She goes to the police, and basically the gangsters try and get Radcliffe more involved in trying to kill things. They want to give him something to fight for, so they kidnap his girlfriend, and they kidnap a friend of his from the office and stuff like that. So he's now got to he has to fight Nix. He's trying to run away from her and get away from her, but he's got to try and fight her, and then he's got to learn how to become a hero and an action guy, because he isn't. The majority of the film he's running away, just evading things, and then by the end of it, he just has had enough, and he then goes full on action as well. And that's what's brilliant. So this is where, as I said, we are talking spoilers already, but this is the massive spoiler to the film. You find out that the copper in charge of trying to bring Schism down is the dad of Nix, the crazy Samantha Weaving character. And what that does, it instantly humanises her. But before this point on, she's just this crazy psycho who just wants to kill. But now you sort of get a backstory. It turns out that this copper got very close to the gang behind Schism, and this main bad guy got very close to sort of arresting him, and he took it personally. So he attacked his family, set his car on fire, and his wife and kids are in the car, but the copper himself managed to get out and get his daughter out of the car, but his wife and son died. And this sent Nix into this like crazy psychotic way of being. She ended up in prison, got out of prison, and the guy that runs the gang got her to be part of Schism show to try to stop her coming for revenge on him, to try and like avoid that. But the copper's still trying to bring him down. So you've got that. So you sort of see why Nix is the way she is and why she does what she does. And then when she finds out, because Radcliffe finds all this out when he gets caught by the police. So when they sort of bring him in, they're sort of like, the dad's telling the story of what happened. And he's like, okay, so he takes it all in. And then this other copper that's with him then shoots the dad in the head, because it turns out he's working for the gang. So then Radcliffe's back out on the streets again. Oh, for God's sake, trying to get away. And then we get to the point where Radcliffe and Nix face off, and you think Nix kills Radcliffe. He gets shot and goes down, but it turns out he's wearing a bulletproof vest. And then it sort of flashes back a bit that Nix actually turned up to where her dad got shot when Radcliffe was still there. Well, I keep calling Radcliffe, when Miles was still there. And Miles is like look, they killed your parents. Like, they've killed your dad. They killed your mum and your brother too. It's them that have done all this. They've set it up so that you don't realise it's them and that you're working with them instead. So she then, like, twigs everything's going on. And her and Danny Radcliffe decide to, instead of to kill each other, to team up and go after this bad guys. And then you basically get one of the great action scenes where these two just go into a thing. This, again, in these films, you have to suspend your disbelief. You know there's no way they could do what they're doing. There's no way they could go up against that many people and survive. It becomes like a video game in itself. And they even reference the fact that she's like, one point, he's like, I don't know where to find my ex. I don't know where to find her. And Samantha Weaving goes, it's just like a video game. Wherever the baddies are, that's where we go. So if you see a baddie, we go in the right direction, she's like. So then it's very, 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 it's very video game-esque. Really video game-esque. Where it's sort of like, that is how a video game is, that you're just walking around, you're shooting around and baddies. There's so many baddies there. And they do this, as they go through this final thing, they're just shooting everyone. Radcliffe's only got those guns stuck to his hand. And you can see the counters going down. It's kind of similar to like, there's a scene in the special edition of Aliens, where there's two guns, and they're shooting, as the aliens are coming, they're sort of shooting the aliens, like, and you can see the counters going down, and if they run out of bullets, the aliens are then going to hit the door. So it's just like you're watching, you get suspense-filled bit. It's only in the special edition of Aliens. So if you've only ever watched the theatrical, you might not have seen this scene. And I highly recommend the special edition. It's so much better. It's the theatrical version, but with more in it. And the more stuff that's in it is worth being in. It's not the silly stuff. It's real good scenes. So yeah, you get the like the gun sticks. So it's like that. And you can see Daniel Radcliffe's like counters are going down. And he's like firing, like, and he suddenly becomes like a badass action guy. He's like firing, like, and it's all the classic like hero sort of poses he's firing. Weaving's got about 20 different types of guns. She's just like gunning everyone down and that. Then you get the sort of like the final boss section. Just said this is very video game-esque. So you get the scene where they've basically taken out all the minion type guys, and then you got the final bosses coming in. So there's these two henchmen of the main guy. One of them's got a mohawk, quite muscular, and then you've got this girl who's kind of like badass looking, levered up, sort of like with two big machine guns. And they come in, it's basically a 2-on-2 fight. And you've got Radcliffe who's got his guns, he's trying to fight this woman, but she's like overpowering him. You've got Samantha Weaving fights this other guy who ends up with hammers. So again, very Streets of Rage. Actually, someone mentions that earlier on about Streets of Rage. Very much like he's got his hammer, she's got a hammer, they have this like hammer fight of each other. And of course, it's someone mentions hammer time, and then later on they do a needle drop, where which is a posh new word. I've recently heard this needle drop phrase. It means like they put a song in, and it's the song that Hammer Time took the beat from, but it's still got that but part of the song. And I was just like, that's genius putting that in now, because you sort of instantly think, oh, Hammer Time, they're fighting with hammers, and it is really brought. They're like smacking each other in the face with the hammers, and you're seeing the damage. It's probably not as much damage as you would get, but you're still seeing the damage. Like at one point, Samantha Weaving gets her finger shot, these two fingers. And she mentions something I'm not going to mention on here, of why she's unhappy about that happening. And then later on, she goes to try and do the finger, but her finger's not there. And she's just like that. She's like, And Radcliffe's like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, my fingers, come on. So she can't even flip the finger at him. So that's a funny moment. Then we got like more chaos going on, and it's just mental. And then basically end up with this like fight, and they win against these two henchmen, and then they're going after the main boss. But to get to the main boss, they've got to go through this corridor of what's left of his minions with all machine guns all facing them. And Samantha Weaving's like, look, go and kill the main guy, I'll distract them. And she basically sacrifices herself. She runs in, and this again, yes, suspend your disbelief, there's like about 50 people in this room, and she just runs in with two machine guns, just like going shooting the crap out of all of them with the guns, you know. And then she's throwing knives, and she's doing all other stuff and that. And then she gets sort of the centre of it all, whips off her coat, and she realises she's got a load of like C4 explosives strapped around herself, and she just lets herself go up. And you see like in slow motion the fire go, and then everyone in the room gets destroyed, and Radcliffe's hiding behind a wall, and he sort of comes out, then he goes after the main bad boss who's now made up to, because they always go to the roof, he's made up to the roof, and he's got his Radcliffe's ex with him, and he's like going to use her as like a hostage, gets to the roof, a helicopter turns up, and they start filming the final fight sort of thing. And then you get Radcliffe, who's got no bullets left, and he's got his last bullet. He fires the last bullet, and you've got that moment where you think he's going to hit him with the last bullet. He goes, yeah, fires the last bullet, and it completely misses him. Goes straight past it to the wall behind him. The main boss is like, you idiot, that sort of thing. And then Radcliffe's like, oh. And then he shoots Radcliffe, and Radcliffe goes down. And then they hit a needle drop, another flash word, a needle drop. They hit it, and it's the song from the end of Kickboxer. Never Surrender, which is done, I think, by Stan Bush, who does all these great, like, inspirational songs. Did Transformers the movie soundtrack songs and that. But, like, yeah, he's like, never surrender, never say die. And Radcliffe gets up and does his, like, hero thing. He starts walking towards, like, the bad boss. And he's still shooting at him. He's, like, taking these shots. And he's walking again. He gets shot in there. And he's walking again. He just keeps going until he gets to the boss. He starts fighting. He starts basically pistol whipping the guy to death with his gun sort of thing. And he picks him up. He drags him to the edge and just lobs him over the edge. And as he's hanging on the edge, and I did think, because earlier on in the thing, when Samantha Weaving got a finger shot off, Radcliffe picks up and goes, we need to put this on ice, and puts it in his pocket, and puts his like skull ring on, puts it in his pocket, and of course now she's dead. So I did think, like, I actually had a moment before this where I thought, what's going to happen with the finger? She's got a finger in his pocket and she's dead. And I remember there was a ring, so I thought, oh, maybe the ring will come into something later. He's on the, so the bad guy's hanging off the edge of the building, like looking at, and Radcliffe's on top of him. And he takes the finger out of his pocket, he shoves it in the bloke's mouth, and then lets him like fall to his death. So it's almost like she kind of had a hand in killing him, and he's the one that killed her family, etc. So it's kind of like, that's a great way to end that, and to give her a bit of an ending as well, even though she died earlier on in a heroic, sacrificing way. We also got to see this brilliant, like, a final like FU to him as he dies. And I thought that was great. And then Radcliffe like falls down, passes out. And then you get this kind of romantic little scene between him and his ex. And then Radcliffe like does the voiceover, because he's been doing the voiceover for us. It's random little narration parts. And he says, that's not really what happened. And then he's just lying there bleeding. And you look over at the girlfriend and she's freaking out because she just watched her ex brutalise this guy and then lob him over this thing. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of PTSD. In the real world, they don't fall in love with you because you've done something like that. They look at you as if you're a psycho, because he's basically just beat this guy to death and lobbed him over a thing. And she's like, ah! Like, he's scary too. And he's like, yes, that never happened with us. But she went on to write a comic book called Guns Akimbo, which is, you see like the picture, like Daniel Radcliffe, she wrote that because she's a bit of an artist. You find out earlier in the film as well. So that's where her kind of story ends. And I thought Radcliffe had died on the roof. Even though he's doing the narration, I thought he died. And then you suddenly see him sitting in a car. And earlier on in the movie, he saw, when he was attacking the sort of boss's, like, the final boss's hideout, he sees a computer that says that they're going to spread this schism schism online game fighting thing around the world. And you see who's going to be in charge in every country in a list. And he sends that to himself. So he's now got that list, and he's, like, crossed off the guy, the main baddie, Resin or something he was called. And he's got his list and he's like, right, who's next? And he's basically looking at the list. So he's now going to go after everyone else that's in control of Schism. And I was like, that's quite a good idea. I mean, I could see a TV show or even a franchise of films coming from this. But I'm guessing it didn't do so well that they've warranted making a sequel. So they could have easily done a sequel where he then goes after everyone else on the list sort of thing. You can even do like them all in one film, like him going up one after the other and make it like almost like a Scott Pilgrim thing where he's got to fight every single boss. Maybe do something like that. But I thought it was great that like they sort of left it open. But I'm guessing because of the attitude I had when I saw the trailer for this, that it looks stupid, I'm not going to bother, I bet a lot of people did the same thing. And I think we all missed out because this was a brilliant film. Probably been really good to see in the cinema on the big screen. Because it is an incredibly fun, exciting action movie with a lot of stuff going on. So I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I never give it a chance. But I'm glad that I found it now. So now over to you guys. What did you think of this film? Did you think it was as good? And did you, like me, not watch it when it first came out, but you've since watched it on like a streaming service, or maybe you rent it on DVD? If people do that now, I don't know. Maybe you found it on DVD and watched it that way, or someone recommended it to you. Did the trailer put you off when you first saw this? Because there was another film out around the same time that was all done in first-person perspective, about a guy with two guns. I can't remember what it was called. Henry something. Hardcore Henry or something. But it was all done from his point of view, the whole film. And I remember watching a trailer for it and thought, oh, that's going to make me feel sick. So I get motion sickness. So something like that will make me feel a bit queasy, seeing it jump around like that all the time. But so it looked similar to this film. So I was like, I don't know, look at that either. So I don't know if it came, I think it came around the same time as well. So I was very sort of like, oh, this film looks silly. Guns Akimbo looks silly. And I thought I wouldn't watch it, but now I kind of wish I had. Because again, sometimes a movie that's very different to what you normally would watch turns out to be brilliant. And sadly, because of the way algorithms work on things like Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever else you watch it on, like Disney Plus, whatever, algorithms will go, you like horror. horror and just give you horror, horror, horror. They won't give you like random different things. You might sometimes find something similar, but if I go down my Netflix profile, it is vastly different to my wife's Netflix profile or the kids' Netflix profiles. Not just because of the age restriction on the kids, because obviously my kids are like under 15, so they've got the 15 profile, but because of what you like. YouTube's the same. Like, I got my YouTube account and I've got all the stuff I like coming up, and if you look at my wife's, completely different. So I will miss out on things that might be pretty good, that I just aren't what I normally watch. And this is where I miss like live TV, because when we had the 4 channels on live TV, you'd randomly watch something that you never would have watched normally, but you actually might like it. I mean, that's how I found Ricky Gervais's The Office. I was flicking through the channels one night, and this weird fly-in-the-wall documentary, as I thought it was on about an office work. And I thought, I'd watch that, flicked it over, nothing on that one, nothing on it. Went back to BBC Two, and there's The Office. And I started watching it for a little bit and started laughing because it was funny. And then I sort of worked out quite quickly, oh, this is a mockumentary, because I'd recently watched Spinal Tap as well. So I was like, oh, but I never would have watched The Office. It was a streaming thing. I never would have even clicked on it. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. So, like, the algorithms can, while they'll give you the stuff that you like and enjoy, they'll also make you miss out on something that you might like and enjoy, because it's not like something you normally watch. And I like variations of things. I love the horror stuff, but I also love a good comedy every so often, a good action movie, a good adventure movie, like a family adventure movie or something. I like those things, but they're not giving them to me. So that's why I kind of want to make this video as well, I might even do a separate video on that fact, that we miss out on so much because of algorithms. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Again, let me know what you thought of this movie. If you know another one that's similar to this movie that I might like, that I've not seen, please put that in the comments as well, because I kind of want to find more stuff like this. It's a movie that's kind of like not what I'd normally watch, but like, have you seen this? Like this random crazy movie? Let me know here. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate your time and effort. I am on different platforms now. You can mainly find me if you search at @GamBrilliant on TikTok and on YouTube and Facebook. It's just try and find Gambrilliant. You'll probably find me on there somewhere. I'm on Facebook. It doesn't connect to the @ thing, so I haven't worked out how to do that yet because I'm rubbish. But yeah, so I'm on TikTok now, so if you want to look at that, you'll probably see these videos on YouTube anyway. It's generally the same videos I put up here, there and everywhere. But thank you very much for watching. Spend your time with me. See you later, guys. Enjoy your day. Remember, guns akimbo.